In this exercise, we'll reason about loops and range objects, which allow us to control how many iterations a loop will run for. Range objects specify ranges of integer that the index variable of the for loop will iterate over. For example, range 10 will specify a range of 10 consecutive integers from 0 to 9. It's important to remember that ranges are closed on the lower end, meaning that they include the lowest value where the range starts, and open on the higher end, which means that they don't include the value passed as an argument of the range function. In this case, that value, 10 in this example, specifies the number of consecutive elements in the range, not the value of the highest element in the range. With that in mind, let's look at the first example. For I in range 12, print NA. You run the code, and if we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We see that we have 12 prints of NA on the screen. The range function creates a range object containing 12 consecutive values starting at 0 that the variable I will iterate over. To make it easier to see this, let's go ahead and comment out the print NA and print what the value of I is during each iteration of the loop. If we run this, as we can see, the value of I changes during each iteration of the for loop, ranging from 0, the starting value of that range, to 11, the 12th value in the range, not including the upper bound we passed to the range function. An alternate call to the range function has 3 arguments. The first argument is the first value in the range, the second argument is the non-inclusive upper bound of the range, and the third is the step size, which is the value by which each subsequent element in the range will be incremented. For example, range 0, 10, 2 will create a range that starts at 0, and where each subsequent element will be incremented by 2 until the highest value, which is strictly smaller than 10. The range will include the numbers 0, 2, 4, 6, and 8, since the upper bound is not included in the range. The second code fragment contains a call to the range function of this type with a lower bound of 1, a non-inclusive upper bound of 24, and the step size of 2. So let's run it. It prints NA 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 times. Again, for clarity, let's go ahead and comment out the print NA and print the value of I instead. So if we run it, we see that the value of I changes over the 12, all the 12 odd numbers starting at 1 all the way up to 23. Another variant of the call to range takes just 2 arguments, a lower bound and a non-inclusive upper bound. In the absence of a specified step size, the default value is 1, meaning that each subsequent element in the range will be incremented by 1. In the third code fragment, the lower bound of the range is 1, and the non-inclusive upper bound is 12. Indeed, if we run it, we can see that the fragment only prints NA 11 times. Commenting out the print and printing the value of I, we see that I now changes value from 1, the lower bound of the range, to 11, the largest integer smaller than 12. The final code segment has a lower bound of 6 and a non-inclusive upper bound of 12 with a default step size of 1. If we run it, we see that it does indeed print 12 rows of NA. However, during each iteration of the loop, we print 2 rows of NA instead of 1. Commenting out the print statements and printing out the value of I instead, we see that I iterates over 6 range values, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 11. But each iteration of the loop prints 2 rows of NA, giving us 12 rows in total.